All right, it's been a couple weeks. We are about 2 weeks from the National, and so let's look at some Michael Jordan sales. Tyler, how are you?
Good, Timmy. How are you?
I'm living the dream over here. Let's see what is going on. We're going to do some, I think, golden, a couple auctions, and then mostly cover alt from last night.
Yeah, so Golden and Alt might be platforms that not everybody reviews in terms of comps. Like I think everybody tracks eBay. A lot of people track Fanatics. If you have Cardladder, you're probably tracking all of them. But if you're not, you might not see these new comps for the 93 Scoring Kings PSA 8.
It's hard to
Looks like
keep
we had a
track
couple
because
alt.
you can see from my list there, pretty small here, but we had an all-time high about a week ago. Sorry, not a month ago, a week ago when it hit 6,300, I think, and like 6 sales since then, and now it's over $7,000.
Right. Plus, I'm on record saying it couldn't possibly go past 1800 last fall. So
You're on
I'm just
record, okay?
I'm just a little bit off on that. So we've got 6,200 yesterday, 67 plus yesterday, almost 74 plus. What do you think? Undervalued, overvalued?
I have to think that it's overvalued, but like you, I've been saying it's overvalued for a very, very long time, and I don't know what's happening, man. This is a card that has a sale like more than once a week. There are hundreds, thousands of these out there, and the FOMO is real. It just keeps going up.
This one might rival the 1989 Upper Deck King Griffey Jr., where the supply, like there's just never enough supply. No matter how many hundreds or thousands there are in any grade, there will always be demand for it.
Is that the case for that Griffey? I mean, I'm not a baseball collector.
Oh yeah, like it's the most graded card by sports card by PSA ever. PSA 8 and 9 each have like 40,000 copies, and they sell 5 times a day on eBay easily, and yet they never seem to go down. And
Well,
they're not climbing as much as this one, but it's almost like people are discovering this for the first time.
I would think that's more like the 86 Fleer, MJ.
Could be two.
Okay.
Like that will always have demand. That's just out of range for a lot of people, whereas the Griffey is in like these low hundreds of dollars, and that's always in the low to mid thousands.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, speaking of the 86 Fleer, would you rather have a PSA 8 of this or say a PSA? I haven't checked the prices on the 86 yet, but probably like a PSA 4-ish range, 3.
We probably shouldn't comment on it. If I don't know anything about 86 Fleers. I'm all inserts, but I would rather have neither of these and just use the money for something else I like.
Yeah, it's at what point does it just, I mean, that point for me was 1800, where I'm just like, oh, this will never,
This is unattainable.
this is unattainable. And now it's 7,400 apparently.
I don't
It just,
understand people who are setting new records for this and just paying the highest ever over and over again on this when they see it literally up all the time. Um, I just don't know. I don't know what's next for this card.
I could see it. I could see it going to 2,000. I could see it hitting 10,000. But either way, we're probably going to find out in the next month because we got the national coming up. These haven't stopped. They've gone from 4,000 to 7,000+ in 5 to 6 weeks. It's just accelerating. So I think we'll find out soon.
Let's go to the next one.
All right, let's go to the next one. Platinum Portraits.
Love
Speaking
it.
of unattainable, this has now become unattainable for me. What about you?
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So it was attainable. It wasn't attainable either for you when it was
It was
$8,000.
actually never attainable,
Okay.
but when it was like 8,000, like an hour and a half ago, that was still a lot for me. And now, like maybe I could swing it on a really nice card that I like, but now 30,000, no chance. You have this card, don't you?
I have a BGS 9. I've also had a BGS 8.5 and I think a PSA 8 before. So I've had a few of these. I've also sold them for, slightly above what I paid. Probably in the like $7,000 or $8,000 range for several of them, depending on the grade. And yeah, now it's close to 30K. You can see the comps here, which I think It's interesting. It's gone up obviously over time over the past couple of years, but the last PSA 8 was what 2 months ago, and it's not up very much versus that sale. So
Yeah, like 10, 10 to
compared to some of the
15%.
other, yeah, some of the other crazy stuff out on the market, I don't know. Maybe this is actually pretty good, but again, it's still $30,000 to spend.
I totally agree. I mean, we're looking at, yeah, up 10 to 15% in the last 2 months, where ordinarily we'd say, oh, that's actually a lot. But the card we just looked at before is what, up 150% in that same time. So
Yep.
you're right. That seems maybe even attainable.
It is interesting how this works, right? We see cards that are not rare, that are very popular, going way, way, way up, and then some of these rarest inserts that have a great upward trajectory. They're not getting those same kind of huge jumps. So interesting to see what'll happen in the future. One of those has to change, right? Either these rarer cards need to go up more, or those more popular cards need to come back down to reality.
And then when I'm looking for my collection, I'm mostly focusing on cards I really like, and price and scarcity factor into that. But when I'm looking for cards to sell, which I do more than keep, I like that consistent sale, one, two, three, four a month, versus they're just so much more predictable versus something like this. You never really know. Based on the trends, this card could be 50,000, or we could see it's only 30. So it's just so hard to know. When you get into this stratosphere of cards, you really shrink your audience. Not that many people are willing to pay 30,000 for a single card, and I think it could be a factor.
You can see it here on my background, my BGS 9.
Yes, yeah,
One of my favorite cards. One of my favorite cards. I think that the print run is like 570 or 590, something like that. Very low print run. Has this laser die cutting on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a beautiful card. One of my all-time favorites. When I did the bracket with all my polls, I think it finished third on the list, which is pretty good, behind Scoring Kings and behind.
Yeah, this one finished first. Scoring Kings.
All right, let's do this one. Oh, another favorites.
We both have this card, though this is a BGS 9, and I think
you have this card. Oh, you got the PSA 8, right?
PSA 8. So we see that this doubled in a year from 66 to 12 and a half. What do you think? Is that right?
It doubled in a year up to around 12, I think 2 months ago. And then a few weeks ago, or last week, when is that? Last week went up to 13 and then back to 12. So it's kind of gone back and forth in that 12 to 13 range. So it's pretty flat over maybe 3-4 sales in a row. So it's similar to the Platinum Portraits, even more so in my opinion. This now I feel is undervalued. I love, love, love this card. It is fairly rare as well. I think it's about a 700 print run. It's from a incredible set, very high-end set, and I don't know, feels like a good buy, even though again it's $12,000.
What do you think about the platform? I don't use alt, and I don't have much experience with it. Is that a good platform for high-end over $10,000 cards, or is something like Fanatics or eBay better?
We are not sponsored by any of these platforms. In case anyone asks, or if anyone wants to sponsor us, maybe we'll put. No, I'm not going to say that. Alt, I think, has its place where it sets lots of records, and you're going to see that very soon. At times, things do go under comps, though, and a little bit lower than expected. So it's definitely a hit or miss. Fanatics feels like more consistently, you will almost always get very strong sales. I don't know the answer to this. Yeah.
Fanatics does seem to, I would think, on average, get a higher price than at least eBay. Though sometimes the Fanatics buy nows, just like eBay buy nows, you get a weird low sale and you don't really know how to explain it. Those buy nows are really tricky because the seller could be super motivated to sell, super unmotivated to sell. Maybe the buyer is super motivated to sell. It's kind of hard to know. It seems like on average, maybe they're all pretty similar. So I know the PSA 8 is only, I think this last sale is what, in the 6,000 range? Does this boost that, given that BGS is maybe slightly ahead of PSA 8?
So I actually have a duplicate of this. I have a PSA 8 as well. I've been kind of holding it since that 6K sale. That's around where I bought it. And I think that was like 4 months ago now. it was 5,500. It was 6,000. It hasn't sold in several months. Hasn't gone to auction. I have to imagine it's at least 8, 9, 10,000 at this point, compared to this 12,000 BGS 9. As we know, people just like PSA better, and I would not be surprised if that PSA 8, the next auction, would be 10K.
Yeah, so we've got 6,200 as the latest. March 31st seems like an eternity ago.
And that's a best offer. It was at auction, I think, in February. You could see there for a similar price. So at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. Can you click on the ladder card, see what the card ladder estimate is?
Yeah, 81. That I don't believe factors in other grades. I think it only
really
factors in like the index. I don't think it's going to look at the BGS 9 and say, oh, that's up X%. Let me apply that to the PSA 8. I think the card ladder value is just based on the index in general. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what I think. So this may be low, 81, given certain individual cards and individual grades.
Yeah, it really bugs me how people sometimes use card ladder values, and we love card ladder, right? We're using it obviously here. It's a great source of truth to give us an idea of all the sales and projections. But we get to something like this, if it doesn't have an exact comp that's recent, then it uses what data that it previously had for the PSA 8. Alt comps is another way to look, or the alt estimate. They give a pretty broad range. So for a PSA 8 contract, it is between 8,500 and 12,000 with their actual value right in the middle at 10K. But I think that takes into consideration some other grades. So I don't know, maybe that's a little bit better.
Yeah, I love that they have a card ladder value that really helps with comping rare cards that haven't sold in a while. But just like anything, you kind of have to use it with a grain of salt. Like you can't just say, okay, it's worth 81.56. That just has to be one input into your overall assessment of the value.
Let's keep going.
All right. East-West Refractor, not a rare card, not a rare gem. We get
this is a card that I have repeatedly in my stories over the past year said was too high. It keeps going up. It never stops. But I have said for so long, don't buy this card. It's too expensive. It's not that rare. It grades too well. Don't go and overpay for an 8 or a 9 when there's so many gems out there. Obviously, don't listen to me because this card just won't stop setting records.
Yeah, BGS 9 doesn't seem like a great grade for this particular card. I'm sure there's quite a few BGS 9.5s. Now that it's so high, I'm sure BGS is getting more of the market share for this card, so I may see some more comps. What do you think about the dual player front and back? Is that something?
Great question. I do not like the dual player cards when it's front and back. I only like dual player cards if it's MJ and Kobe, probably. MJ and LeBron, maybe you could argue for that, but otherwise it's really going to take away from the value of the card unless you happen to really love. For example, I love Hakeem Olajuwon being from Houston, so I like the honor roll refractor and atomic refractor because it has MJ and Hakeem, one of my favorites. But other than that, I do think it's got to be MJ and Kobe. I don't really love when it's front and back because you don't see both guys together. I also think specifically for this card, East-West, I don't like the picture of either player on it. MJ is just shooting a jumper. Kobe is just dribbling from like a side view. It's just not that impressive to me. And I don't get the fuss about this card. I'd much rather have something else that looks better.
So I'm with you on the dual. I don't like dual players front and back for the same reason that you don't. And maybe that's based on like grading now and presenting cards. Maybe the kids who are like really playing with raw cards and turning them around and everything, that might be better. I've never been a fan of players on the back. I don't think I have any in my collection right now. I had Top Crop, and especially with grading, sometimes one player's on front, sometimes the other. Even if there's a clear back of the card, I think the superstar tends to get preferential treatment. In terms of the card itself, I don't mind the shot. So like what I really look for, I don't look for the pose necessarily. I don't think like a dunk is always better than a jump shot, or is always better than dribbling or something like that. I like the scale of of the image here. I like to see kind of the top half of the player, like from the knees or something. I don't like the players super small, like zoomed out, like with
Yeah, that's
tons of
true.
defenders. So I like the card. I think it's we talked last week about how I feel about tops, specifically 1998 tops. This would probably be my favorite insert of that. Big Man on Court, another one that was on my want list on a PSA 8. That's what I collect, although now it seems to be getting out of my grasp. How about you?
This card is really expensive now. I don't know what happened here. I mean, it's a very rare card. I think it is a 600 print run card. It's a case hit, one in, I don't know, 2880 or something like that. And it looks cool. It's lenticular design, so it kind of has this 3D effect on it. Although there's not as much movement as I would kind of like for a lenticular design. It's definitely kind of less popular than the 96 Big Men on Court that we talked about last time. But I do like it. It's a cool card. I liked it when it was
Yeah, one in 4,300 too.
even rarer than we thought. I liked it when it was 3 to 4,000. Now it's 8,500 for a BGS 8.5. With the last, let's say the last PSA 9 was in that range, right? So it's pretty expensive now.
Yeah. Yeah. How about the lenticular design? Is that something we've talked about? The front back, fractors. What do you think about lenticular? Kind of reminds me of back to baseball, like the 1980s sports flicks, which were never really all that popular. Maybe kind of innovative at the time. Now, what do you think? Is it a little outdated, or is it really innovative and cool?
You got to know your audience. I don't know anything about 80s baseball, but I do like the lenticular design. I like the throwback feel of it. There's a few MJs with that lenticular design. There's obviously the Hot Numbers, the first one, which I enjoy kind of because it's an older, one of the earlier inserts. And then there's this Big Men on Court, and there's the Thrill Seekers from 1996. I like that the cards have this kind of fun, different background. I like when there's more movement in the background. For the ones where you can't kind of see anything moving, I don't really get the point. The cards do kind of hold up relatively well, I think, typically for like condition wise. At least that's the case for the Hot Numbers. So overall, I would say, I don't know, it's kind of a meh.
Yeah, I don't mind like the plasticky card. It does keep them in better condition. I also like when cards kind of change. I'm not a fan of the lenticular. I hate the 95 hot numbers.
Oh,
I looked at it in real life, and it made me motion sick almost. Like I did not like it at all. Now I don't know if I've seen this one in real life. I don't think there's a ton of movement, but I'm thinking like the 97 Thrill Seekers that has,
the scope.
yeah, like that kind of kaleidoscope effect. I really like that. So I don't mind the changing aspect. This, it's not like he's going from like ball at his waist to actually shooting like some that you've seen. So I don't really see the point for something like this. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily want to have to move it.
that's more like the there's like a 2009 3D set, 3D stars set that has like Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron in it, and it like changes from one player to the other when you move it. Then there's like the Diamond Vision or the
Yeah, yeah,
reels where again you move it and you see him like scoring a basket. I like that, but like you said, this one, Hot Numbers and the 96 Thrill, MJ doesn't really move, just the background kind of moves a little bit. With Hot
right.
Numbers, I guess he like shifts, but it's not that much of a movement. So
And even the ones you mentioned where there actually is movement, cards like that, and like think of like 91 holograms. 99% of the time it looks terrible, and then that 1% where you get it in the right light, it looks amazing. I don't want to have to get it in the right light. I just want to look at it without touching it and have it look amazing. Like I applaud the innovation,
yeah.
but they're not my favorite.
All right, next one.
All right, we got high voltage, not the 500 parallel, just the quote unquote base insert. We've got mixed gem. Explain what mixed gem means.
I've heard some people refer to this differently, but a mixed gem to me, well, let's start with BGS gem means there's three 9.5s, and if you have a minimum BGS gem, then there's a 9 with the subgrades. So 3 9.5s and a 9. If you have a mixed gem, to me, that's when there are 2 9.5s, a 9, and a 10. So that's why there's a mix. You also have a true gem, which is all 9.5s, and then you have a gem plus where it's 3 9.5s and a 10. Is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah. And that factors into the value. A lot of collectors want the highest possible in a 9.5. 3 9.5s and a 10 is likely going to sell better than a 3 9.5s and a 9. So now we see a mixed gem, which is not the lowest because there is that 10, but it's maybe in between. You gotta. Some people may be going for like, oh, it's got the 10, so I like it better. Some people are like, oh, it's got the 9 though. So
Exactly.
I would rather, you're going to get different thoughts on that.
Exactly. So the other way that I've heard this referred to is a minimum gem plus. So it's a minimum because there's a 9, and then there's plus because of the 10. So I guess that makes sense. I've also heard if that's the case, then if you have a card that has 10, 10, 9.5, 9, that's also a 9.5 total grade. That's a minimum gem plus plus. And you know what? That's just all chaos to me at that point. I don't know what to do with that.
And because I'm not a BGS collector, I'm solely PSA, and not because they're the greatest company, but because that's what I started with in the early 2000s. If it has a 9, no matter what the other subgrades are, it would likely cross to a 9 or worse. So it could be 10, 10, 10, 9. It's probably getting a 9. And because that's how I kind of calibrate in my head what grades are or condition.
I guess the only exception there would be if the 9 was on centering, right? Because doesn't PSA have a little bit broader?
Supposedly they do. I don't really know. I guess my point is like I'd rather avoid the low end. Like Absolutely. I'd rather have 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5 than 10, 10, 10, 9.
Definitely. I mean, we're talking crossovers now, but you don't really do crossovers, and neither do I.
Right.
From what I understand, crossovers normally work best if you're cracking the card out. So I don't know, not for a non-risk taker like me or you, I guess.
Right. So this one looks like it only sells in this grade every 2 or 3 months. So not really the trend that I would necessarily expect if we got 8,400 down from October to December, down again to February, and then it starts to climb. So maybe it's getting the love it deserves, but kind of hovering around the same price, mid and 8s from October to May, which is not really what we're seeing with other cards.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's not a super rare insert in general, though. I think it's one of those 1 in 720s. It's also from one of the lowest end products, Hoops. And so that has always kind of held.
Yeah, Hoops.
And of course, it has the bigger brother, the one up here on my background, the high voltage 500. And so anytime you have that, the lower end one is not always going to get the same kind of love that it might deserve. But 1 in 720 hobby, so I guess that helps. But overall, not like a super rare insert.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a double-edged sword with the kind of big brother, like you said. Like if you're priced out of that one, you may say, well, I can't get the 500, so let me go into the
it happens.
lower one. And that could boost it, or it could be, well, why get the lower one when I can get the higher one? So I could see
as long as the lower one still looks good. And in this case, this card does look really good. There are instances where there's a big difference in like the look of the card. I think we talked about this last time, but if you think of Ultra Abilities, the base one versus, or the starter versus like the superstar, there's just a lot of difference in kind of the background and the features.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
One that's on the top of my list for all Jordan inserts, not the most expensive one. And speaking of little brother, a lot of people consider this maybe the little brother, the linchpin, since it's got the same image, though in different sets. We've got 6,000 for BGS 9.5. Keep in mind that Scoring Kings PSA 8 that we just saw was over 7.5. You think that's right?
That's a good point. I don't think anything's right with the PSA 8 Scoring Kings. So this card is another one that is not super rare. I don't know the print run off the top of my head. You can look up the odds as we speak. Yeah, it's a beautiful card. It's from 1995, so it's one of the earlier cards, earlier sets that are out there for inserts. I love it's got like this matte kind of design kind of glossy, kind of has this picture frame look. It's really a piece of art in my opinion. And it's a nice one. I just don't know if you want to go from like $3,000 last fall up to 6,000 now. That's a pretty big jump. But then again, everything's jumped. The other thing about this card, like you said, versus the Big Brother, the linchpins that I have back here on my background, I heard somebody say this before that they don't like the linchpins because it's the same photo and because the photo is reused from 3 years prior. Linchpins is from '98, and this Natural Born
Right.
Thrillers is from '95. I've never thought about that, but I guess that's like a valid point.
I have thought about that. This clearly the photo is from 95 or earlier, as it was in this 95 set. As we've talked about before, 98, technically not playing days, though we both don't like collecting them just because the cards are so amazing. Um, the Linchpins is great. I love it. I don't have it. I want it. But this has a lot going for it. I love the script here. I love the name of the set. I love this kind of classic EX cell in that set type, like with the, it's almost like a relic, even though it's not from a jersey or anything, but amazing card of the time. Yeah, the Lynchpins is great, but yeah, it reuses a photo from 3 years prior. He wasn't even playing in '98, so they couldn't get any new photos. But just comparing these two popular inserts, hard to tell which one is more rare, given that these are completely different sets. This is Series 1 Hobby, this is all packs, probably about the same print run, give or take. But yeah, great cards, and I think if this is over 7, this is definitely undervalued. Of course,
I never knew that 93 Scoring Kings was hobby only. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I have. That means it's 100% correct. I'm never wrong.
Okay.
We
Well,
can
there you
check.
go.
We'll fact check for next week. Stay tuned.
That is what Beckett says as well. Just looked it up. But I don't think I had ever thought about that or knew that. But there's still thousands and thousands out there. Anyway, let's
Totally.
move on. I think we got one more card, right?
So we got Court Masters. Now we talked about the dual player, front and back, different player. This one, obviously right side up, upside down. Any different thoughts on that versus the front and back?
Super weird. I don't understand the design of this card. There's this, and is it Game Breakers? Or I thought there's another card where there's a upside down.
Game Breakers
player.
has two players on it.
It has Rodman on it.
Has Rodman, or the other one is Pippin.
Maybe it's just this that I'm thinking.
Well,
of
the Bowman
mirror image.
mirror image.
Yeah, but that's multiple players. I'm trying to think of like same player multiple times. I don't like that. I think it's weird. I don't understand why they did that.
I completely agree. This isn't like a playing card where you can. I mean, actually, it's kind of like a playing card, but yeah, you can turn it. But again, once grading gets involved, like who's going to store this upside down?
Yeah.
And you can always see the upside down person. So it's not like the player turns upside down. Like I don't like it at all. Like you're always looking at an upside down person.
Have you ever had this card?
No, I haven't.
So the 97 Court Masters, have you had any from the set?
No.
Okay. What about 96 Court Masters?
Remind me. Let me look at what that one
That's
looks like.
the translucent acetate one. It's kind of pink red background. While you look that up, the 97 Court Masters actually looks really cool in hand. It has embossed, like pretty deep embossing, and it's kind of holographic, or not holographic, refractor finish. So it looks really nice in hand. I think the features of it, but like you mentioned, I just don't like the upside down design on it.
Yeah, I remember now the Cormos. I have this card.
Oh, you do?
I love it. It's awesome. I love the image. I love the scale of the image. You can kind of see his whole body and zoomed correctly. This image is pretty crazy. I've seen the actual photo, and there's all sorts of defenders around him, and it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I love the screen right here. But yeah, I'm with you. This seems like a neat enough card with the embossing, but the upside down. You can't even tell it's him, and like there's so many with like Rodman or Pippin or something like that. This could easily be another player, so you'd have to physically turn it over. So
Now, between these two cards, I think the print runs are pretty close. It's like 900 something versus 700 something. This one, though, the 97 goes for way more than the 96. I think it's about 30% more. I don't understand why I like the 96 better. Obviously, we're biased, or you're biased because you have the 96. What do you think when there's cards that are, same set name, 1 year apart, very similar odds and print run, but there's a big price discrepancy? Do you go for the one that has the lower price, or what do you think?
So I don't think about it like that. I kind of like when they have like a longitudinal insert set, like this year Court Masters, that year Court Masters. I guess I'm kind of back and forth on it. I kind of like it. I don't. I don't know that I mean, I like this card and I don't like this card, and that's kind of the end of the story for me. So, in terms of like rarity or price, like that doesn't really factor into my decision. Like, I'll never own this just because I don't like looking at it. I don't like the background color, I don't like the upside down player. So, no matter how much it is, I won't have it.
All right. I think we're good to wrap it up. You got anything else? Oh, we got one more?
Yeah, should we look at Soul of the Game, BGS 9?
I don't think I have very much to say about this, except that it's, very high sale price. It's gone up a lot. This is not as rare as many of the other inserts that we mentioned. I guess I do have a lot to say. And I personally never really liked this card that much. I was really surprised when I did my bracket, and this jumped up from kind of I initially ranked the cards so that we could kind of have the reasonable kind of matchups. This was towards the end of my top 64 list. And I think it jumped up in the consolation rounds to be at the very top of the consolation prizes. So it was like number 30 or 35. So people like this card. I think it's cool because it's got that cool 90s different colors going across the background, but it's never been.
Well, it's got that kind of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air font of
Yeah.
the Michael Jordan. I'm also a little bit indifferent on this. I tend to like it. But I don't know that I can explain why per se. Like, I don't mind when the name of the insert is on the card. I like that. But when it's like all of the card, I'm thinking of like the prior year Big Men on Court, where, that die cut, that one I don't particularly like. So I don't have a lot of rhyme or reason. One thing about this card, if you don't know, these colors are not always in the same order. Sometimes you get like red, green, blue, or it's almost like a scroll of a rainbow, and just wherever you get it, you get it. The centering on this is tough because there's about 1 millimeter on each side of white, kind of right here, and if it's off by a fraction of a millimeter, it can go from a 10 to an 8. Whereas another card, it wouldn't be so sensitive. So that it's tough to find a 10 only because, and you might not even know why, but it can literally be like the smallest bit to the left or right or up and down, and that's going to kill the centering. So
It also bothers me that it's inconsistent as well for the grading. So you'll see some copies where it says it's a 9.5 centering, for example, with BGS, and you can clearly see that there's too much border on one side than the other. So that does bug me as well.
Yeah, in terms of the price, I mean, I guess it's kind of following the trend. This seems to be a fairly popular card. Anytime I try to sell one, it usually goes pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's certainly in the top 100, let's say, of popular inserts. So I think it's just following the general trend as expected.
Top 100. It's got to be at least top 50 for most popular.
Yeah, probably. At least the top 100.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up and come back next week to see what kind of records are being broken.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be.